Welcome to Discovering. Tonight we're king salmon fishing on Lake Michigan with Yooper Outdoors.
Big boy. All right, who wants this one?
Plus a few behind the scenes clips of my own king salmon fishing trip. And we talked to the Michigan DNR about the updated regulations for the 2023 bear season. So sit back and relax. It's Monday night and it's time for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill, the eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Fishing and filmmaking are pretty similar in that they are both a hurry up and wait game. Get all your gear in place, ready and waiting for the action to begin.
What we've been waiting all day for right here. Let's see if it actually pans out how it's supposed to.
It's approximately 9:20 p.m. magic hour, and any minute the reels should be screaming with king salmon.
All you. Just do you, Jack.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. It's king salmon season on Lake Michigan, and where do you go to fish for kings in the UP? Bearport. Never heard of it? I'm not surprised. This postage stamp of a harbor town is located at the end of the road in the Garden Peninsula. Just a couple dozen houses, 0 stores, a fishery building, and a few docks. Locals rent out their yards for $10 a night to camp during salmon season and $10 to launch your boat. The daily population quadruples this time of year here. Today is a bit quiet, but 2 weeks earlier, I saw over 100 trucks with boats piled onto this spot. I'm headed out onto the lake with John Ron of Yooper Outdoors. John has 4 clients on the boat today who thankfully let me on board to film. To better our odds of catching a pile of kings, John threw a lot of lures out there at various depths on 6 planer boards, 2 dipsies, and 2 downriggers. We're trolling, looking for schools of alewives, find those, and that's where the salmon are.
Well, these big salmon will just rip the board back. Like they'll just take it back. Oh yeah. Those 20-pound salmon, sometimes they'll like sink the board. Like they'll just oh yeah.
Right now, Chinook salmon are plentiful, aggressive, and large in size as they stage in the warmer waters to feed.
There's this plankton, I guess, in the water, so and the alewives feed on the plankton, and then the salmon feed on the alewives. So the plankton comes up, and then the alewives come up, and then the salmon comes up. And then they're all feeding. This bite will only last a few weeks, and then all these salmon will push up towards the river mouths, at least all the adults, and they go in there and spawn in like August and early September. So October, yeah, you come out here and maybe catch some like cohos or littler kings, but all the big adults will be in the river spawning, and then they die in the river. So yeah.
So they're just in here staging right now.
Yep, they're just filling their face, like eating as much as possible because they know they're gonna die in the next month, and so it's just like deer, like you know how they pig out in October. Just try and get as much fat reserves as possible. That's what these salmon are doing.
Really?
Yep. They're just eating as many of these alewives as they can. We're only getting like 1 bite per hour from now until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So, and then from like 9 to 10:30, it's just like game on. 3 at a time, hopefully. That's all it took. Walk away from that camera.
Little guy, but we'll take him.
That's a big boy. That's a big boy. All right, who wants this one? Fighting, you want to loosen it up. When he's not fighting, you want to bring him to the boat. Know what I mean? Have you did much salmon fishing or just a couple times? Okay. Yep. So you can tell when he starts jerking. What I do is so I'll hold her out like this, and when you're not reeling, I keep my thumb right here. Okay. So like let the rod go down, or we'll pump up and then reel down. Pump up. There you go. Pump. Sometimes you gotta tighten the drag up to pump up. Okay. These are big fish, so they're not just going to come to the boat. You got to get them here. Well, we didn't get stumped. Yeah, see, now he's fighting more like a 20-pounder does. It seemed like he was coming to the boat pretty easy there for a while. So you want to do is reel down, like reel down, and then pump up. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll even keep my thumb on here. I'll just pull up real slow and then reel down. You know what I mean? Drop your rod down, reel down, and then pull up real slow and then reel down. Keep that dip out of the water. Don't let that go back in the water. That's a big fish. That's 25. Pull. Yeah. Nice.
Ooh, that was awesome.
How's your arms feel?
This one's a little sore.
Yeah, man.
That was awesome.
Fish. Still an hour before prime time. Yep.
Got fish we ain't even caught yet.
That's one nice thing about catching them early like this. Like we're guaranteed a few more. I shouldn't say that, but
We had been on the boat for nearly 4 hours when that first fish finally hit, and then it was on. But before that, we were nearly lulled to sleep by the gentle waves and the hum of the trolling motor.
say 10:30 to 11:30 is when you get a lot more smaller ones.
Really?
They just, for some reason, they come up later than the bigger ones do. A lot of these like 20-pounders.
Is there a time you got to be off the water? You can fish all night?
Fish all night. Tonight will be a good night to fish all night.
Let's do it.
John compares it to bear hunting. You sit and wait with bated breath, staring at the same spot for hours until magic hour. That short window where it's either going to happen or it's not.
There's a little king. I had to get that. We need 5 fish per episode, so get him in here. All on
We
me.
need 10 fish for an episode, I lied.
Ooh, that's a big fish. That's a 20-pounder. I'm gonna build it. Back up to the windshield. Take yours over there and start reeling. That's a 300 copper. You got a long ways. All right, start reeling. An episode. Doubled up. Go right back by the windshield, right in between them 2 trays. You and him now. Let the best man win.
Go ahead, Adam.
Do it. Loosen up the drag a little bit. Alright. Come right over here. Just try and keep your eyes far away from him as you can. Is he tiring you out? Yes. Hear that light, see how that hook came right off in the net? That's why you don't ever want to give him any slack. Because as soon as you give him slack, it came right off. There's fish.
False alarm, that was our last fish. We didn't end up fishing all night. John's clients were satisfied with the evening's catch, so we headed to shore where John cleaned those salmon inside the Fairport fishery. In case you wanted to see what the alewives that these salmon eat look like, here you go.
You know, I get to do a lot of cool stuff here on Discovering, but I'm always behind the camera capturing the action. And I love doing that. I love filming people catching big fish. After experiencing this king salmon fishing trip though, I had to do it for myself. So I hired John of Youper Outdoors to take my boyfriend Justin and I king salmon fishing, and we had a blast. I couldn't leave the cameras behind though, you know me. So I brought the GoPros along to capture some of the action.
We were after the morning bite and launched out of Manistee under the stars. Again, we're after that magic hour, this time just before sunrise. As soon as the lines were out and we were up to speed, the reels started screaming. It was still pretty dark when I caught my first fish, and I didn't have the GoPros out yet. I was worried I wouldn't have the strength to reel in these large fish, but somehow I managed to reel in this giant king pretty quickly, even on 350 feet of copper line. My fish were cooperative and half swam toward the boat for me. Justin was luckier and got to battle a beast of a fish for a half hour. It was an exciting morning of fishing with 6 giant kings landed, and then the sun rose and the salmon bite shut right down. That 1 hour was worth it. We're hooked and can't wait to go again. Thanks, John, for another exciting day of fishing here in Michigan's Upper Peninsula.
Last week, Michigan bear hunters found out if they were successful in getting a 2023 bear hunting permit. For those hunters that are making plans to hunt this fall, the Michigan DNR updated a few of their rules and regulations for this season. I sat down with Cody Norton of the DNR Wildlife Division to talk about those.
There's something that's just different than we've ever really done for most of our species in Michigan is implementing a wanton waste law for bears. We already feel like the vast majority of hunters are already utilizing their bear meat, right? Whether they use it or they give it away to friends or family or anything else. But we wanted to get a law in place stating that, you know, hunters are required to use their edible meat from a bear. More thinking down the road and being able to kind of ensure that bear hunting is going to remain a management tool for the state and a recreational opportunity for the people in Michigan, and being able to say, hey, every single bear in Michigan is being utilized for its meat that's harvested legally. I think that gives us a really good, communication tool for talking with non-hunters.
The DNR has made provisions in the unfortunate event you cannot find your bear.
Maybe not the best hit. It was 80 degrees all night. You weren't able to find it till the morning. If any of the meat has spoiled, you're okay with discarding that. So we've included that in the law. We aren't going to make somebody eat something that's not shouldn't be eaten. So we changed the definition of a cub bear. In the past, it was just a cub is any bear less than a year old. And so obviously when a hunter's staring at a bear on their bait site or up in a tree or whatever it might be, they don't have necessarily definitive measure or definitive way of saying, yes, this is a cub, no, this is an adult bear that's legal to harvest. So we've moved to, instead of just less than 1 year of age, it's anything less than 42 inches in length from the tip of the nose to the base of the tail. So that's something that Wisconsin already has had in place for several years. Now hunters can cut a stick of known length of 42 inches and be able to reference that right at a bait site or on trail camera photos and say, yep, this is a legal bear to take, or no. 4 different regulation changes regarding baiting. Now, anywhere in the state, if you're bear hunting, you can use up to 2 gallons of deer or elk attractants in your bear bait during the entire bear baiting period, as long as it's inaccessible to deer and elk. And so inaccessible means it's got to be in a hole covered with logs or in a hollow stump with a tree cookie on it, or if you're on private land, it can be in a bait container. The next one, I guess, would be for hunters hunting on private land that are looking to use bait containers. Previously, in the past, we allowed holes in those bait containers up to 1 inch in size. Those worked great or good for if you're using corn or dry granola or dry oats or something like that that's going to go out of those small holes. Now we're actually allowing, you can still use or put holes in them 1 inch or smaller, but then you can also use holes 22 inches and greater. And so we're hoping that'll allow for the use of sticky granola and donuts or confectionery goods, or just a wider variety of different bait sources for folks. And the intent is that the holes are either going to be too small or too large for a bear or some other animal visiting the bait site to get stuck or injured in.
The other 2 bait rules are no stupefying substances like melatonin gummies for the lazy hunter that thought that one up, and a language clarification that no, you cannot use manufactured wood products on public land. Yes, you can use logs and hollowed out stumps. And the last regulation change is regarding firearms.
In the past, we've never had any restrictions on what type of firearm you can use to hunt bears. So we did prohibit the use of .22 caliber and smaller rimfires. So again, don't think there's a lot of people out there attempting to do that, but that was a law that's in place for deer and elk and some other species. So we just wanted to make that consistent for bear, and maybe with that first-time bear hunter, helping avoid a bad situation from happening. For crossbows, in the past, you had to use a broadhead type hunting point with at least a 7/8 of an inch wide broadhead, and it had to be on a bolt or a quarrel at least 14 inches long. But for regular vertical archery equipment, there were no restrictions. So legally, you could shoot a bear with a field point or whatever, tip you might come up with. So we just basically applied what was in place for crossbows over to other archery equipment as well. So we're making sure everyone's going out there with a broadhead and, making hopefully a quick ethical kill and not losing a bear. So just things that hunters are already doing, but hopefully just make sure there's nobody, makes a mistake like that.
That's all for tonight, and I hope to see you right back here next week for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.